Talk to me dirty, corn dog. Are we on? Welcome back to another episode with Transfer Portal CFB presented by NoContextCFB. It's our Week 8 recap. What on earth was going on in some of these games and some of these commentating booths, especially the game at South Carolina with the corn dogs and the donut hamburgers, all that stuff. There was so much quality, good football, too, stemming from Wednesday with the App State beatdown of Georgia State and concluding with the Montana-Sacramento State thriller that was almost inexplicable. If you tell a friend what happened in that game, they're not going to believe you. But anyway, I'm joined by Josh today to talk about Week 8. Really excited to get into this.
Man, I was following along like third screen of that South Carolina Texas A&M game, and I saw the no context post. Talk dirty to me, corn dogs. I'm like, what's going on? So I scoured Twitter and immediately that was, and then again, man, that Sac State, Montana State, that, because I was done for the night. Then I'm like, wait a second, FBS football or FCS football is on, excuse me. And I'm like, oh no, because I just turned off my laptop. I had to fire that baby up and watch the final few moments. Man, that was the perfect way to end the weekend, man. That was awesome.
It was a super fun game. It was unfortunate on Montana's side because, they blew 3 double-digit leads. Starting quarterback went down. Another key player went down. And that game just felt like they had a grasp on it. They just weren't able to hold on to it. But it's how Sacramento State came back was really odd. I forget who they hit a big play to on fourth down. Down 7, they set up a touchdown for Asher O'Hara, though, on the next play MTSU transfer. But they make this throw on fourth down, and it's clear as day the receiver's out of bounds. That kid was not in bounds, but I don't know if you have anything to make of that garbage. But
I mean, you know what? Sometimes you just got to get bounces your way, and Sac State, I mean, that was Liam said in our group chat we had, he said the refs don't believe in technology. So yeah, that was kind of a moment there.
We're looking at it on replay from every angle, including watching it live. I was like, he ain't in, Chief. Every angle showed that his foot was clearly out of bounds. His right foot was out of bounds before he ever had possession. And you speak to Sac State getting the bounces their way. Had a surprise onside kick that helped spark that comeback. I don't know. The final possession, though, in regulation was a sight to behold, Josh. That was... It's, again, if you tell somebody what happened that didn't watch the game, they're not going to believe it. That was unreal.
Yeah, for those at home who didn't know, so Sac State's driving. The game's tied, and they... I'm just laughing.
They have 3 timeouts.
Yeah, they have 3 timeouts, and so... But sometimes I'm kind of a believer, if you can get up to the line quick enough and get a playoff, you don't need to use your timeouts yet, especially in college football, clock stopping after every first down. But their first play hit it. I'm like, okay, get up to the line, do something. They waste 20 seconds before they do something. And then they finally use their first timeout with 15 seconds to go. And then they get to a situation where it's okay, Hail Mary situation. So Montana plays prevent, but then Sac State hits a quick pass, get down, timeout. And it's a 56-yard field goal, something like that, for their kicker, whose career long is 51 or something. They go for that, but then they Montana calls a timeout to ice him. But then they line up, Sac State comes out with the offense again, and then suddenly they switch it up where they tried to do the thing where, hey, we're going to run the offense back on, or the kicking team back on and confuse everybody and leave a wide receiver out wide. But then Montana's aware of it, and you can see when their play's going hey, he's over there. But then Sac State just kind of stand there do we kick it? Do we not? And then they just took the delay, and then they throw a Hail Mary, and it's intercepted. And man, that guy had so much green grass. He just got tripped up at the 25.
Incredible speed, his burst and explosiveness. I thought he was gone. I genuinely
thought he was gone
when he caught that ball and took his first 3 steps out, and he's at the 5, the 6. I'm like, we have a foot race this, and then he just got tripped up, and that was kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah. It was like, man, like that was also risky on the sack state guy who like dove to trip him up. It's like, man, you
Yeah.
got a lot of field. Like maybe you can, maybe he's like, man, I can't catch this guy. I gotta dive now. But it's like, man, maybe you want to take a few more steps to get closer instead of just diving. Like, man, that game was fun. Then they go to OT and then Sac State pulls it out. And man, just a FCS is awesome, man.
Asher O'Hara is just unstoppable in the run package that he has. He was so fun running the ball at MTSU too. But I do want to say one more thing about that Sac State final possession. Montana, but there's 4 seconds left. Montana decided to put 8 defenders at the goal line with 4 seconds left, and Sac State still having a timeout or two, whatever it was. And it was like, and 6 or whatever. So they didn't need much to get a first down. Montana's got 2 defensive linemen, and then they have like a linebacker that's lined up with the receiver. They handed Sac State like 6 free yards to even set up a potential, 56 yard. That was bold of Montana, but yeah, really fun game, and good for Scadaboo on Sac State. He's gonna make some money soon enough for his NFL prospects. That kid is as tough as they get in football.
And like just like name wise, Scadaboo, that's just
incredible.
awesome. Incredible.
He had a dope hurdle last week on the red turf at EWU that led to a touchdown. He's a tough guy. I know Jerome Bettis, like Scadaboo is on Jerome Bettis's radar, which is also pretty neat.
Whew.
But FCS ball, we'll throw it away for a little, even though the Big Sky was having some big time games. Syracuse Clemson. That was a 21-10 Syracuse lead going into the fourth quarter, Josh.
That felt like, what was it, the 2018 game when Trevor got knocked out? And we'll get to the quarterback situation in a second. It was like, uh-oh, Clemson's in trouble. And it was sketchy throughout. And admittedly, I was at work, but like I was able to like watch it on my phone and stuff because I was being productive at work, but I was also watching it on my phone. And then I found like a lot of like game highlights like stitched together, so I got like a really good feel of the game. And man, dude, Syracuse had the game until they didn't. And when Clemson came back, oh my goodness, it was just again, Syracuse just needed a little extra, man, just a little more, man, but they couldn't get the squeeze.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about Syracuse. Some stuff I'll save for later. I thought that they handled this very poorly, their 21-10 lead. They handled this extremely poorly. Again, I'll talk about it later, but I want to focus on the Clemson side here. And you know what, the Syracuse side too, a little. I got a lot of hate for life and saying about Syracuse that these dudes, like, they're dogs. This is a good football team. This is a really good football team that just barely lost to Clemson, and they lost because of ineptitude on their coaching staff. Unfortunately, that defense is stellar. That defense was missing so many guys, impact players like Garrett Williams. Guys were stepping up everywhere. Michael Jones was making big plays once again. He gets hurt, though. Jihad Carter has an interception on DJU in that game and like a 95-yard fumble recovery return touchdown. Jihad Carter was sensational. Okachuku on their defensive line, that guy's an absolute stud. He'll be in the NFL soon enough. Like, the Q's defense is serious.
Yeah, and like for the longest time, it's about like when you thought Syracuse, like with Dino Babers coming over from Bowl Games, like this high-powered offense and everything. It's like they've had defenses that have been pests throughout the years, and it all came together this year. And they're not just pests, like they're legit, and it showed. Like it wasn't just like Clemson screwing around. Like those were turnovers that were forced by Syracuse. It wasn't just like Clemson messing up. Okay, one of the interceptions by DJU was kind of his fault, but otherwise, it was like Syracuse forced them into that, and it was impressive. Unfortunately for them, it was the only turnovers that really resulted in anything. It was Shipley's fumble, which was returned for a touchdown. And then there was like one of the DJ interceptions, I think, led to a touchdown, but it was kind of unfortunate because some of the other turnovers from Clemson, like Shipley's fumble and then another DJ interception, it was like immediate, like Syracuse 3 and outs, and then they just punted. So it's like, man, if they could have just capitalized on one more of those, man, just the offense, just help your defense out, man. Because imagine if Syracuse was at full strength on defense, my goodness.
They're scary. Like, turn that situation around where DJU running it into the end zone for, 1 to 5 yards out. Like that's been happening, for a good bit of his career. It's almost automatic at this point what he's able to do, rushing the ball inside the goal line there, whatever. Getting DJ a fumble there, taking it back to the house is really, really strong. There are a lot of other great things too. Syracuse receiver Rondé Gadsden the second, again, NFL dude, extreme talent, 6'5". He had 6 for 86. He was making great plays. And then we have to touch on a quarterback thing. I love that Dabo made the switch to Cade Klubnik. That was it was what am I saying? It was needed. Like that move had to happen, even though he's like 2 or 4 for like 16 yards or whatever, 19 yards. Like no, even though Cade wasn't throwing that thing, that move had to happen. Clemson's offense was just so stagnant and out of sync under DJ in this game. He could not figure out the Q's havoc on defense.
Yeah, and just I'm surprised more college teams don't do it. The NFL, they had it when Tua kept getting replaced by Fitzmagic, and Fitzmagic would just do stuff at the end. But then they'd always go back to Tua because like Tua's a starter, but like everyone knows Fitzmagic can come in and do stuff. I'm surprised they don't do that more in college. Exactly. Because college, like in the NFL, you have your starter and like the backup is a lot of steps down. But like in college, it's like you can have 5-star recruits just sitting on your bench. It's only because like, oh, there's a guy ahead of him who's pretty good, like DJU. But like you were saying, Liam, it's like you gotta go sometimes and you need a spark. And Cade had it, and it wasn't just throwing the ball. Like again, he didn't do that much, but they ran him too, and he's got a little more juice than DJU running, and it did stuff. And then like so the defense like, wait a second, we got to key off on him, and then like the running game really opened up for Clemson with their running backs, but it's because Klubnik was in, and like they've already said, yeah, DJU is going to come back after the bye and everything, but like now that I believe that they're comfortable. These two guys are comfortable, and the team is comfortable with having DGU starts. But if we need a club, they can come in. That makes Clemson a lot more dangerous. And again, just sometimes I'm surprised more teams don't do it because sometimes you have to do it.
Yeah, it's a really interesting take there from you that I haven't heard much of. DJU and Cade both did struggle throwing the ball in this game. Cade didn't have many opportunities. The Syracuse secondary is lethal. This was a really good game, though. I'm very happy that Syracuse ends up coming out of this with the respect they deserve. I'm gonna hate on them in a few minutes. Just you wait, folks. Syracuse is getting chewed out by me, taking the peel off the orange. But we're gonna go to a battle of oranges. Texas and Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is feisty.
I mean, it's always like that. And like last year's defense, really, really good. Lost the D coordinator to Ohio State, but they bring in Derek Mason, still really good defense. And the defense just stepped up again because Texas was rolling in the first half. And then the second half came out and just like they didn't do anything. Like I fell asleep as I just nodded off on my couch at the beginning of the third quarter with whatever the score was. I woke up at the end of the third. I'm like, what's the score? It's like Texas hadn't done anything. Like Oklahoma State's back in this thing. What happened? It's just because the Oklahoma State defense stepped up. Spencer Sanders has been in college for like a million years. And like, is he like the elitist quarterback? No, but he's good enough. And again, just feisty. That's this whole team. You described it perfectly. They are feisty, and it was awesome. And I mean, like Quinn Ewers' first road game in college, like road games
in the trash.
Yeah, just ugh. And just the biggest thing is like, man, it was windy. It was like you could see it on when Texas's kicker missed that kick in the fourth quarter, and then he came up to the side. He took off he's got a great head of hair. But like, you could see it like if you're on the field and your hair is like moving because it's swirling, that's super windy. And it affected Quinn. Like I think he was only like 1 of 5 or something on passes over 20 yards. And it's not like he wasn't accurate. It's just that the wind was just getting some of those passes. It's just hard to do sometimes. Like sometimes the weather just gets to you. But then even then, like you were saying, Oklahoma State down, and then they had the like interception late in the first half that Spencer Sanders threw. It's like, man, is Texas going to run away with this? They didn't, and all credit to Oklahoma State for coming back and winning this one.
Yeah, Auburn, the Texas kicker, has great flow. Texas offense had 0 flow in the second half. Texas was up 31-17 as we were nearing the end of the first half. Oklahoma State cut back into that with a late touchdown in the first half. And then It's a field goal for each team in the third quarter. These two offenses only were able to put 6 points in the third quarter. Is unreal. And it was just all Oklahoma State in that second half. The defense was really, really good. I know that, like, look, the defense has a lot of holes. I know that. But they've got playmakers. Jason Taylor the second comes up with 2 picks in that game. They have a few feared hitters as well. And, you know, it's just this year the Big 12 feels a lot more like, the early 2010s Big 12, where we're playing terrible defense, but we're playing a lot of great offense. And sure, we still have good playmakers on defense. Like, just look at TCU, for example, and the dogs they've got on defense. Oklahoma State's defense ain't pretty, but they're going to force turnovers. They're going to make some big time plays. Quinn Ewers needs to throw this game in the garbage. This is very forgettable. I would say I am a bit more surprised that in this game, with the win, with how ineffective Quinn was, he was 19 of 49. I'm running the ball to Bijan a whole lot more than 24 times. I think this is a game I'm looking to get Bijan like 35 touches. Like, yeah, I care for his future in the NFL, not want them to have taxing workload and everything, but we're a 5-2 team going into this with a lot of quality wins that we could rack up and the outside shot, the playoff, and of course, control our own destiny in to get to the Big 12 title game. My best player needs the ball more than 24 carries, 25 total touches in a game where we threw like 36% throwing the ball. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, it was just a lot of trust in Quinn. And again, just like it's weird, like even this year, it's still like in the second half, just Sarkisian's offense, just like in the first half, it looks great. And then they go into halftime, and then it's like their adjustments don't happen, and then they don't do what works, and they kind of just sputter out. And like they've been great and they're improving, like they're getting better at like not doing that, but it showed up again.
Mm-hmm.
And like speaking of things that showed up, like undisciplined Texas showed up again. 14 accepted penalties for 119 yards to 0 for Oklahoma State. And so there's a whole thing, like Bill Parcells talked about like hidden yards and said that 100 yards in field position difference is about a touchdown. People have like run stats and stuff and whatever. And like what I could find is like now it's not really a touchdown, it's more like a field goal. But Quinn throws an interception on the first drive of the game, leads to an Oklahoma State field goal. That's 3 gifted points. 119 yards of penalties, so like tack on another 3. So that's 6 points difference. Like those are the margins, man. And like sometimes like if your coaching doesn't click, if the weather's weird, if you got a feisty team on the other side, like you said, in Oklahoma State, sometimes that's the difference, man.
Yeah, there's a big difference in the UCLA Oregon game too that we could talk about. This game starts with Oregon taking 3, UCLA answers with 3. Oregon scores 7, UCLA answers with 7. Oregon scores 7 more. At 10:50 in the second quarter, they pull out the surprise onside kick. They go down, they score again, and UCLA was not able to recover from the surprise onside, man. Like that surprise onside, truthfully, was the difference in this game. There was a lot more, though. I will say that, yeah. So people don't get mad at me. There's a lot more that helped like play a factor in the difference. But if you want the exact turning point of this game, where these teams are both trading blows, the onside kick changed the entire course of this ball game.
Yeah, Oregon stole a possession, and not only did they steal a possession, like they converted. And if you look at the final score of the game, it's like, man, like you say, like they didn't really recover, but it's not like Oregon like really put them away. They only lost by like 2 touchdowns. So you take, let's just say they kick it off to UCLA, and even if nothing happens, just like take 7 points off the board for Oregon. This game's closer. Yeah. But again, like momentum, like it's not really a thing, but like it's still like in the way of how it's described usually. But it's still a thing where it's like there's pressure on the team and everything, and UCLA was trying to come back. And it's also just like UCLA's offense with, not that DTR can't sling the ball, but it's a lot of like short to intermediate passes, which is like good. Like he's really good at it, and it's really fun. It's really fun to watch. But then it's like you're watching the other side, and you have Bo Nix out here just slinging the ball like deep, just like I don't care, I'm Bo Nix, and it's like, oh man, just let DTR rip it a little bit more. And I kept like watching the game, like Jake Bobo like doing like
Jake Bobo's unbelievable.
Yeah, but it wasn't until like I was like, usually I'm listening to a broadcast and like I hear it like Bobo, Bobo, Bobo. I was like, I think 5 minutes to go in the second quarter, and then like I finally heard his name. They literally said the announcer said Bobo for the first time. I'm like, what do you mean? Give him the ball more. Just
I,
what's happening? And then Charbonnet's like running for his life and he's doing great. But it's like, man, just Oregon just let it rip, and UCLA was still like, we're gonna kind of dink and dunk. It's like, no, let it fly. But
so no, so I was really interested to see coming off the bye week what Chip was going to scheme up for this game. I think he schemed up the perfect offense to go and win this game. But we're talking about the 7 point, the 14-point swing with the surprise onside kick leading the seven. Again, you assume UCLA gets the kickoff there. They answer with seven more. That's 17-17. We could play the terrible game that's adding seven to UCLA's score and taking seven off Oregon's, and it's 38-37. Like, that exists. This game, UCLA didn't really convert every time on all their possessions. They were actually the one team in this game to not punt, so that should get you a win in my opinion. But UCLA had to settle for three too much, and that was another big issue that they had, was trying to convert in deep Oregon territory. I thought the Oregon defense stepped up big at times. I have a lot of good takeaways from both sides. Like, I think both teams played pretty dang good games. It's just the perspective of this game is Oregon wins by 15. It was closer than 15. Like, it's so weird to talk about a game that was so evenly matched but doesn't look like that, because so much juice was taken out of UCLA's side after the onside kick. So much of what should have been a close final score is taken away because what the onside kick does. But I was impressed with both teams still. UCLA has a lot to figure out on the defense side against the opponent offense, though. That was the one thing I was not at all impressed with. The secondary played horrifically, although Bo Nix was sensational. He was having fun. I wouldn't be surprised if he's dark horse for the Heisman, Josh. He was 22 of 28. He had like a 96.3 QBR. He threw an absolute beautiful missile up in the. It never rains in Autzen, but the throw that he made in the rain in Autzen, that beautiful rainbow that he threw for a touchdown. I don't know. Bo Nix was incredible. Oregon deserved that game for sure.
yeah, man, and also like shout out game day being there. Shout out to our man Dylan for being there and representing well. Like, fun atmosphere, man. That especially like third quarter or end of the third quarter going to the fourth and kind of just getting crazy, man. Again, moments like that, man. College football, elite.
College game day on the West Coast, they just need to do it more. It delivers like every single time, outside of maybe a few times. UCLA Arizona didn't deliver. That was a weird one. If anyone remembers how that like particular episode of game day went and not what happened on the game, that was a weird game day. But yeah, I don't know, it was a really fun game. Corso with the Ducks, the live duck was super funny. Yeah, it was a great game. I just wish it was again, like, it was a really good game that's just not indicative of what the final score shows. It was just so unfortunate. But we'll go on to Kansas State TCU, because when you were speaking of Texas Oklahoma State, you were speaking of Texas and how awful they are at adjusting and managing a second half. TCU might be the best second half team in the country.
And TCU, like, okay, did TCU play a backup in the third string quarterback? Yes, but did they also come back down from 28-10 and then like
In the
they held it
blink of
down?
an eye.
Exactly. It's like, this team is crazy. They are fun. And yes, have they played backup quarterbacks in a bunch of their games? Yeah, but who cares? Like, they're still doing what they need to get done, and that's what you have to do sometimes. And it was also like Kansas State. It's not like when Kansas State second stringer and third stringer came in, it's not like they were horrible. Like, I think the third stringer threw an interception on the second pass. But otherwise, like, the Kansas State offense is kind of just like run the ball, throw like a few short passes. And so it's not that hard to operate when your quarterbacks are all like kind of clones of each other, where they kind of just kind of scramble around.
Yeah.
It's like TCU just did great. And like Quentin Johnson, like he had like one long touchdown, but it's because like the defender fell down. So like their
That
number one
was a
option,
weird touchdown.
yeah, it was so Google it, people. It was crazy. But like he's usually been the guy they've been like, all right, break glass in case of emergency because nothing is working. It only worked once and it's only on a really busted play. Otherwise, he wasn't really there. And TCU still did great. It's like again, like this TCU team, man, they are fun. They are the opposite of Texas. It's like, okay, this is what's happening. Very next series, we're adjusting. And that it's so much fun to watch them, man.
Yeah, I do want to speak to Will Howard, Kansas State's QB2. There was not a like you lose Adrian Martinez's legs. That's a significant drop off. Throwing the ball, I thought Howard was pretty good until he got hurt. Like I think Howard did a very good job. The touchdown he throws to Warner was exceptional. A lot of people are very impressed with how well Howard did play. Like this isn't TCU didn't win because Adrian Martinez got knocked out of the game. TCU won with just the great resiliency that they've been able to showcase each and every week with an offense that figures out how to exploit a defense after a defense has been shutting them down for a few drives. The offense makes their adjustments and they click. Again, Max Duggan is Frankenstein. What this guy has turned into is a monster that nobody ever saw. Like nobody ever envisioned Max Duggan being able to do this. TCU, the Quentin Johnson usage is bizarre at times. He doesn't get the necessary volume he needs, like pretty much the first 4 games of the season, maybe the 5th. But Keandre Miller finally got a significant workload. He wasn't being taken out of the game so much for an RB by committee. This was Miller's time, and he went nuts with it. Miller, like I said last time, all credit to Bijan. I love Bijan. I'm not taking anything away from him when I say this, but it's Keandre Miller's movement and the way that he eludes and evades tacklers and will bounce off them is what people think Bijan does on every run, but it's what Keandre Miller does on every run. I don't know if there's been a run that he's had where I'm just not impressed with anything he does. Like there's always one thing that I could go and say, even if it's like a 1-yard run for Keandre Miller, I could say, there's something he did that was super impressive. And as TCU continues to rise and ascend, Miller's going to get the ball a whole lot more. He's going to do incredible damage. Please get him the ball in the receiving game, though. If you get him the ball in the receiving game and let him cook with open space, and we already know what this TCU offense does in the open space with their speed, their burst, their explosiveness, their agility, it's scary hours.
Man, that was again like the whole TCU offense it's it's just thinking back to like the Gary Patterson teams. It's like defense, defense, defense. And then we kind of have an offense, but even if we have really good quarterbacks like Trevon Boykin and Andy Dalton, we don't really rely on them. It's like use them, man. Like a good offense will help your defense a lot, man. It's gonna it's so much fun to see now like a new TCU. Like I always like it's kind of like a weird thing, but aesthetically, the just TCU's like color scheme and everything, you think of them as a fast team, but they're always like hard hitting. And now they're like living up to their color scheme, which is like that's fun to see, man.
Also, the blood red in their uniforms never needs to be worn again. I hate
yes,
that.
no, it's so weird.
What they wore on Saturday against K-State might need to just straight be the primary. The helmet was phenomenal. That was a sick alternate helmet. Their Twitter account's insane with the crazy frog videos after wins. Hypno Toad has taken the world by storm. Max Duggan was wearing a Hypno Toad shirt, and TCU has quietly built a really good resume. They've got a win at SMU. They've got a beat-down win on an 18th ranked Oklahoma team. They win at a ranked Kansas team. They come back to beat a top 10 Oklahoma State team, and now they just came back to beat a number 17 Kansas State team. They're building a really good resume. They've sneakily just piled up 4 quality ranked wins, and I don't care that Oklahoma and Kansas have slid after that. That's not what matters. It's what matters when you beat a team, and TCU has done that, and now they're rewarded with, the softer part of their schedule with West Virginia and Texas Tech coming up. Yes, they're at WVU. Do not blow this. This is a team that I so desperately want to see on the playoff stage. Don't you dare blow this at WVU.
Yeah. And speaking of blowing it, just real quick, just on Kansas State, when everything was kind of crashing in on them and TC was coming back, it's 28-24, early-ish third quarter. They'd been driving pretty well, but then they got to a fourth and two. And then they kicked the field goal and they missed it. And like, that was it. It's like, go
Terrible
for it.
field goal too.
It's like, it's go for it. Just go for it. Your offense is doing fine still. Go. It's just,
That was
okay,
never
we
a
can move.
game. That was never a game that they were going to be able to win with that field goal. TC was still going to come
Exactly.
right back there with the touchdown, and then it was going to be a tie game pending K-State making that field goal. Tie game. The momentum is still fully in TCU's side, and TCU was coming. That Horned Frog, they were looking, yeah. That team's just so fun to watch. But yes, we'll stop talking about that. How about this? I know TCU made a big impression on us, perhaps. I know I've been a little bit higher on them though, since I've had them number 6 like 2 weeks now. But what who made the biggest impression on you, whether it be a positive or a negative?
I'm gonna go positive because in a good mood. My Seahawks just won. We're in first place in NFC West somehow. Um, man, shout out to another team. Where's purple? Great color scheme. Offense is waking up again. Man, shout out to the ECU Pirates. Like I had just written an article last week. Go check it out because like there's still stuff that applies. But like group of 5 teams who are like in position to get to a New Year's Six game. I'm like UCF, they're unranked, but they're playing really well after they had that weird loss against Louisville. Their offense is clicking. They didn't really play anybody, but even then, they're still like smoking teams. And then ECU came and beat them 34-13, and like it was never close. And it's not like UCF was like turning the ball over or doing weird things. It's just ECU just dominated. It's like what is happening? And it's
Colton
because like
Ahlers was he
exactly,
almost didn't miss a pass.
exactly. And it's crazy because like I thought UCF had it because they had extra days because they were coming off a Thursday night game last week, and ECU was coming off a 4 overtime game on Saturday. I'm like, okay, UCF has extra days. I love ECU, but like UCF should win this. And then like they got dominated. So man, shout out to the ECU Pirates. Just it's good when ECU is playing in Greenville is popping because like man, ECU's like back for people who don't know, like go back and look at like just their history starting from 2000 and on. Like they've taken down some teams and they're just a threat. And they could be one of these teams that like slowly could become one of these like teams in a few years that they are like a UCF of the G5 again. Because that's what they were for a little bit.
I hope they get back to that because again, it is so fun watching a good game at ECU at night, especially on a weeknight. Like if ECU could figure it out and get back up to that level where those games are all significant, it's really fun. The AAC is just it's a mess. I do believe that cannibalization in that conference exists. It didn't go as I planned though. I did think ECU was going to win, but I also thought that Cincy and Tulane were going to drop. They proved me wrong. But the team that made the biggest impression on me was FIU. They're a 2-touchdown underdog at Charlotte. Yes, Charlotte's terrible. Yes, Will Healy just got canned. But FIU, who would thought that this team could win 3 games this year? I don't even care who they've come against. I know one is Bryant, which is an overtime comeback win that they needed. Another's New Mexico State, and the third is at Charlotte. They were 14-point underdogs in this game, and they were up 34-0 in the fourth quarter. That's a statement. Grayson James, their quarterback, ran the ball at a high level, was making good throws. It's the first time all year that I, as a diehard Tyrese Chambers fan, could say, I am satisfied with what FIU was able to do with Tyrese's usage. He had 10 catches for 143. Coming off of injury, the first time all year that Tyrese got the ball and was able to cook. Thrilled for him. And their defense, like Charlotte has a really good wide receiver trio headlined by Grant Dubose and, solid quarterback in Mr. Reynolds. And that's a team that likes to throw the ball. FIU's defense shut it down. That was super impressive. I don't think that they're going to get to 6 wins, but, it's October 23rd right now, and you're only 3 wins away from that magic number.
I mean, FIU, they're a team like they're the lovable losers that everyone loves because like fun mascot, fun color scheme. They always have like they always get like a fun wide receiver, like you mentioned, Chambers. Like y'all remember back in the day, T.Y. Hilton. They just like have fun teams. It's been kind of hard to watch them. We still cheer for them, and whenever they can pick a win, man, we celebrate them, man. That's awesome.
Yep, and now we'll go talk about what the most surprising thing from the weekend was.
So I didn't watch this game at all because I was watching other games, but then I saw the highlights and Southern Miss had a fourth and three, 4th and 4 in the final seconds. And it's like, man, they feel dead against Texas State. And then suddenly there's like a short little pass to dude Chandler Pittman and took it, and it was like 53 yards for a touchdown. But it was like it was basically like a 4-yard pass, and then he just took it the rest of the way, just weaving. Go find the radio broadcast of the radio call of that touchdown if you can, because it's just fun to hear the home team. And man, you look up in Southern Miss, they're 4-3. Like they're in Will Hall's second year at a really down Southern Miss school. Like off-field stuff aside, cough, cough, Brett Favre, cough, cough, and other things. Again, this is another team that back in the day, they used to be one of these small schools that they were dangerous. They were racking up wins. They were big time teams didn't want to schedule them because they're like, that team could legit beat us. And Southern Miss, I don't think they'll ever get back to that point, but man, Will Hall's doing something in his second year that they're already looking this good. And so, like, again, they might not be elite, but like, just get back to bowls. And that's the Southern Miss we want to see. And so, shout out to Will Hall, shout out to Southern Miss, man. That was just looking up and be like, they're 4-3, 2 wins away from bowl eligibility. And even if they don't get there and they collapse, they've already done more than enough in 2 years to be back to this point.
Also, a really solid uniform team and color scheme team. They got it going. I hate to bring this up again, but mine has to be the Texas passing attack that performed at an impossibly poor rate. And yes, there was wind, Josh. I know that there was wind, and I know, like, don't get mad at me, those listening. You'd have thought that there was literally a tornado inside the stadium with how bad this was. Quinn Ewers was 19 of 49. 19 of 49 against the Big 12 defense with 3 interceptions. 38.7% in a college football game at Texas, where this is Texas. This isn't like Central Michigan on a Tuesday night where we laugh at like a quarterback that goes, 6 of 26. This is Quinn Ewers, the generational talked up prospect that we've heard about for how long? Again, you'd have thought that there was literally a twister inside the stadium, like circling the Texas offense every time they had the ball. Spencer Sanders didn't have the issues at this extreme of a level. What was he, like 35 of 52 off the top of my head, I think? Xavier Worthy had 16 targets and 4 catches. This stuff can't be happening. And yes, there was good defense at times from Oklahoma State, but oh my gosh, Quinn Ewers was throwing the ball at an alarmingly bad rate. And I know he'll bounce back, but for me, it's still the most surprising thing I saw. And again, it even goes back to, why did this happen so much? Just let Bijan or Roshan run the rock a little bit more. They were carving. Bijan was carving up the Pokes defense. How this happens? Like these are numbers that. How do you get these numbers? I don't know.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, like the targets to Worthy, like when to set, like it affected the game, but like. Worthy and Ewers, those are your 2 best players, and like they were just off. That connection all night was just off. It was weird to watch. And like the last touchdown, last should have been touchdown, but dropped by Worthy. Yes, Worthy should have caught it, but it's also like it was a really difficult throw for the situation. Yeah. Like Worthy was open, man. So something was off. It was just weird to watch.
There were a lot of drops too from Ewers pass catch or anything, but still. It was as if he was just throwing the ball in the air, and then a tornado came in and threw the ball in a complete wrong direction. Everything was overthrown. Everything was off. I don't remember a time I've seen the offense just with those numbers that was so truly out of sync at this level of play. You could say that was the most disappointing thing of the weekend. I wouldn't be mad at you, but what do you have, Josh?
Man, going from one situation where like the coaching's doing surprisingly great to one where it's fallen off and it might just be a little bit of a dip, sometimes dips happen. But like, man, Jeff Halfley in Boston College, man. Again, just looking up because I haven't watched many Boston College games this year because there hasn't been a reason to. Man, shout out to Zay Flowers for still being cool, but like they're 2-5, and it's not like oh they've had tough games here, and it's just like they haven't been competitive, man. It's just bad. They start out 6-5 in that COVID year on the Halfley, 6-6 last year. So okay, they'll keep this up. At least it's like they're bottoming out. What happened? Like, what is going on? It's so weird. Like again, Boston College, they're not going to be like that times when they had Matt Ryan and they were like number 2 in the nation. But this dropout is insane, and I hope for Boston College sake because I was a big believer in Jeff Halfley because he's doing good stuff there. At least I think he is. Like this doesn't just feel like a little bit of a dip. This feels like something worse, and it's just man, just big disappointment there for the Eagles.
Yeah, I welcome anyone who wants to come on to the Jeff Halfley is overrated ship because I had to start that up last year, a little after Philly went down. Even when he was there, like no, it was when he went down and then everything went downhill. Then he came back and everything was downhill again. Like I had Boston College, Doug and I thought that they're like a New Year's Six sleeper last year, and Philly's injury obviously threw that off the rails. But that offense is anemic. When I talk about all the prehistoric offenses in this sport, I often forget to include what is up at Chestnut Hill. That offense is built for 11 Stegosauruses. It's terrible. Zay Flowers is some kind of mythical creature, some sort of beast that they have that doesn't belong in that era of football. He doesn't belong playing with those guys. Oh my gosh, the transfer portal CFB is making this one again. Zay Flowers is the Lamborghini underneath that terrible apartment or house, whatever it is, under that like shack. That's Zay Flowers. He's a gem in this awful spot. We've made that comp for the 19th straight pod. Now you're welcome for those keeping track at home. You don't have to. Now I got you. Zay Flowers, like it's gonna be funny when he gets drafted in the 3rd round. Hopefully not the 4th. Hopefully it's 3rd round. And people are kind of like Boston College, whatever, like the uneducated or 3 games into his rookie year and he's carving. Like, Zay Flowers is going to be a stud. Boston College doesn't have it right now. Jeff Halfley's, I'm not liking what I've been seeing for a year now. So welcome aboard, Josh. Welcome aboard. I hinted at it, though. Syracuse. What's going on? You're up 21-10 in the second half. You have a 21-10 lead entering the 4th quarter, by the way, at Clemson. Sean Tucker's a really good football player. I'm not sure if anyone knew that. You wouldn't know that because he got 5 carries in this game. Wait. The best player on Syracuse, who plays running back, so it's kind of easy to get on the ball, had 5 carries in a game at Clemson in which they led by 11 entering the 4th quarter. You're sitting on an 11-point lead and you're not getting Sean Tucker the ball? Are they okay? They were trying to be too cute with it. That's the most disappointing thing because their defense deserved to win that game. Their offense didn't, and it's because of what Dino and Anai did with that lead. They botched it. It was like comparable a bit to Noel Mazzoni at A&M when they blew the game against UCLA. It was just a complete misusage of assets. It was just horrifically called plays and over, and you're handing the game back to the other team slowly and slowly. Sean Tucker ran for 10.8 yards per carry. He had a receiving touchdown on the great route he ran. Why did he touch the ball 10 times? He had 5 catches. Why do you have 5 carries? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it literally I think it was either the second to last drive for Syracuse or their final drive. Tucker made a catch, and the announcers literally said, "Sean Tucker out of the witness protection program." Like, oh my word!
All-time line from McDonough.
Exactly. It's just like, holy cow! It's not. Again, you're talking about Tucker rushing and his receiving. going into the game, he was the team's second leading receiver. And it's not just because, oh, they have to feed him up. No, because he's doing great. And now he's third, but whatever. He is integral to their offense, and he didn't get any touches. What on earth? And it's not like, oh, Syracuse good defense, or sorry, excuse me, Clemson's good defense schemed him out of it. Okay, you can scheme a player out of it, but then again, it's a running back. Just give him touches. Just give him the touches.
Every time that Sean ran the ball, he exploded. He had 4 carries entering the fourth. We saw his 5th carry, which came after Clemson took the lead, I believe. We saw Sean's 5th carry, and it was like 11-yard first down right after it. Never got another carry. I don't know. I'm speechless.
I am not pleased with
I'm not pleased either. I said in the late third quarter, I said, I can't wait to see his tweet. I cannot wait to see what he tweets out because I know he's not pleased. Look, I felt like all week, like I'm an idiot for not actually following through and picking Syracuse. Like I should have let him hang. I should have done it. Good thing I didn't because Robert and I knew Robert and I must pick Clemson in his pool. We're talking about Syracuse winning that game if Sean Tucker got his carries. I truly believe that. I don't understand. He looks so good. He is so good. He's one of the top backs in the country. Feed him, please him. How about the player that most stood out to you?
Sorry, I just tried to click on something and I almost closed out the entire Zoom. All right. Play that, please. Like, we're gonna go to a guy who we love him at the transfer portal. People know him. He's a G5 legend at this point. Frank Harris. Don't give him any time on the clock because he will dice you up. And once again, he came in clutch. UTSA, they're not undefeated, and like no one's really paying attention to them because like they were last year's thing and whatever, and people have moved on to new teams. But like they're first in Conference USA, and it's Frank Harris just once again coming up big, throwing a go-ahead touchdown with 20 seconds to go. After North Texas had just scored a touchdown, and before that, he had led a touchdown drive. It was insane. And just Frank Harris again, he is just clutch, and you have to have a screen up for him. Like even if they're losing, it's like, wait a second, they're gonna come back because he's just, again, it's just, again, like momentum isn't a thing, air quotes, but it is a thing. Clutchness isn't a thing, but it is a thing. And like Frank Harris has it, man. Like if this is NCAA, he has a 101 clutch rating, man. It's just beautiful to watch.
Yeah,
it's just small little dude. The left-handedness too. That aesthetic is awesome.
Wearing number 0.
Exactly, dude. Like, man, meat, man. Let's go. Frank Harris is awesome.
I always hate seeing you as a big UTSA guy, I hate seeing them in these close games. I'm like, all right, time to fire up the ESPN Plus again, get back to this game, see how it's going. Let's go. Let's get going, guys. Meet. It never fails. Last year and this year, Frank Harris is a wizard, and he's just so magical in the waning moments of a game. It's remarkable what he's able to do. DeCorian Clark, I can't say enough good things about him. What a catch that he had. I'm going to go to Alabama for mine, and I'm going to ask you right now. I'm going to ask, this is where I'm going to go. We put out our top cornerbacks list in the country before the season, as we do. Eli Ricks was a unanimous number 1. Everyone told us, you guys are idiots. He's not even going to start. Why would you rank him number 1? He's not even going to get enough start Alabama. He's not the number 1 quarterback in the country. Tell me he's not a top 2 corner in the country. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and say he's still the best corner in the country, in my opinion. Finally got to play football. He allows 1 reception on 10 targets for 19 yards. He forced 5 incompletions. He didn't have a single pass interference call on him. Oh, I don't know. Let's go look at the Tennessee game. Tell me how that secondary performed, and tell me why Eli Ricks never saw the field. If you tell me anything about him not being able to learn the playbook, I might just have to block you because I know straight up that ain't the reason that Eli Ricks hasn't been playing. There is no way that you're going to tell me 5, 6, 7 months or whatever it took for him to learn the playbook. And I look at this elite. He looked like the best corner in the country after finally learning the playbook. Get out of here with that. That's not what happened. Some internal conflict that Saban finally had to say, all right, it's time to play you, Eli. Like, I've got to own up to this. This Alabama team has had so many poor misusages of their talent, especially in their receiver room, especially with Eli Ricks. It's just one of those examples. There's no reason that Eli Ricks should not have been their starting CB1 from day one. I know look, the only thing I'll say, if he was truly hurt for a bit, that's okay. But the second he was healthy, Eli Ricks should have been playing football. And he's been healthy, and there ain't nothing about the playbook that he wasn't getting. Like, the kid is a future stud in the NFL. Alabama's secondary wasn't like, why wasn't he playing? Again, the ninth time today, I'm speechless of the ineptitude that we're seeing from and this time it comes from a Nick Saban led team.
Yeah, there's a new I wish I could remember the author and the book that's come up, but there's a new book. It's like mostly soccer, but it's like how like soccer is one blah 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 blah. But like one of the biggest keys in there is just like coaches just sometimes just get in their own way and they don't play their best players because they believe too much in their scheme or they believe in too much in their culture or whatever.
It's political at times.
If Ricks was hurt, okay, we understand like you don't want to play a player hurt because he's not 100%. But it's like, man, dude's good. I think on the preseason show, we had predictions. I think I was talking about him for the Thorpe Award. I know I mentioned him. I don't know if I had him picked or if I had him like as a runner-up or something. It's like, dude, come on, man. Just play your guys. Just play your best players. And if you believe so much in your culture, if you believe so much in your scheme, then put your best. Imagine putting your best players into that. Oh wow, they did so well. It's like, come on, man. Just don't overthink it, coaches.
Like, Eli Ricks just going to keep dominating. I can't wait to see him against LSU in the game that's coming up in a few weeks. How about the biggest takeaway from week 8?
All righty. This one, Maction's starting up soon. But man, Maction's already like, because it gets buried on Saturdays at the other games. But dude, Maction's already kicking up, man. What on earth is happening, dude? Maction's is insane already. These teams just, everyone had Central Michigan pegged as a really good team. They stink. Buffalo looked helpless to begin the season. They're leading the East Division. Ohio, Bowling Green, Kent State, they're all right there. NIU has come down to earth, but they're still like NIU's come down to earth and the regression's there, but they're still like, they're keeping the games close, so they're fun to watch. Eastern Michigan, good. Western Michigan, good. Ball State is like hanging around. When Maction like gets
Whoa.
Tuesday and Wednesday nights, it's gonna, what do you mean? Wait.
Akron has looked very competent too. Akron is playing some good games.
Sorry, I was getting to Akron. I was getting there. But like I'm saying, like when Maction's coming up and it's like, oh, people's getting like, oh, what's Akron's? Haha, they're really bad. It's like, wait, why are they competing against the top team in the MAC? It's because the MAC is insane, dude. The MAC is awesome. This is going to be a really fun run when Maction starts kicking up in November.
That was my takeaway from like week 5 or 6. It was that the MAC is the most similar, like parity wise, to what the NFL is. Like year in and year out in the MAC. Again, it's not about the talent. It's about the quality of teams playing and everything, and how just similarly, talented they are. That's what it is, and how many coin flip games they play. Like, why was Northern Illinois pegged for regression this year? Because they won every single close game they had this year. This is no surprise that they're now losing all those coin flips. But the MAC's outstanding. Toledo, my guys took a tough beating this week, though. Daquan Finn, get better, man. Hope he's not hurt too bad. Hope he could come back, start slinging that thing again, because I think he's going to be the most talked about player in this conference. It's just been so fun. I can't wait to see Kent State's offense on full display. Dante Cephas on Maction nights, weeknights like this. We're getting to the really good part of the season. This is what it's all about. Now, I went in a similar direction, I think, because I went off the regular path. The FCS playoffs are going to be absolutely sensational, and all college football fans have to watch how this playoff unravels. I feel like this is the most even that the FCS is going to have, like, team-wise in so long. NDSU, yes, they look really good, But South Dakota State was still able to shut them down in the second half, go and get that win. South Dakota State's really good. They were pegged the best team in the conference, in the FCS by NDSU HC Met, even before the SDSU and NDSU game was played. But the Big Sky's amazing. We saw what Sac State did. Montana State's really good. Idaho's even good. Holy Cross had the Hail Mary win over Buffalo. They're undefeated. Weber State's another really good team. Incarnate Word with Lindsey Scott Jr. as one of the best offenses in the sport. Montana's good. Chattanooga, Mercer, Delaware, William and Mary. Darius Wilson's going to be a starting quarterback at an FBS team soon enough. I'm telling you. The unfortunate thing here is Jackson State's not going to be in here, I don't think. I think Dion just straight up said that they're going to only play for the Celebration Bowl, which is so bittersweet because, like, it's really cool and all, but what could this Jackson State team have done in the FCS playoffs? They're one of the best FCS teams in the country. I say they're top five, but that offense is absolutely humming. They've got quality FBS talent. Sanders is a shredder. I can't wait for the FCS playoffs though. Like this stuff's gonna be so good.
People are talking about, oh man, the college football playoff, the top teams always, but literally just look at the FCS, man. Like even though
it delivers
NDSU
all
they
the
keep
time.
winning. Exactly. And like even if NDSU like keeps winning, no, they haven't actually. Like of course NDSU is a dynasty, but look at what's happening. It's FCS, man. That's quality. That's quality, high quality stuff that people aren't tapping into enough. And honestly, maybe we should keep more of the regulars away because then they'd pollute it with their own whatever stuff. But like,
yeah, but the regulars would help guys national TV games. More of them. Because look what happened. Every time there's an FCS game that's nationally televised, it delivers at the highest level. We just saw Montana Sac State. We saw the Weber State game a few weeks ago. I forget who they were playing. I can't think.
It was a high quality game.
It was very good. It was. Dang, I can't remember who they were playing. That stinks. Oh well. It's a really good conference. I love it so much. That is the Big Sky's really good conference. Sorry, but yeah.
All the Big Sky on Twitter people, they're so much fun on Twitter, man.
They have a really good Twitter account. I like them a lot. I don't know. Like, send us merch, Big Sky. Send us merch. We're the biggest Big Sky fans there are that actually cover college football as a whole, not just exclusively the Big Sky. But FCS playoffs are going to be absolutely sensational. I still think it's going to be NDSU, SDSU in the end. But who could be mad about the Dakota Marker rivalry getting a clash in the title game? Nobody could be mad. That's just elite football. I love the FCS. I don't care who knows. It's the good stuff. How about the best thing that you saw this weekend and then the worst thing?
All right, the best thing, man, there were 2 elite celebrations this weekend. Of course, there are probably more, but so Maryland beat Northwestern 31-24, keeping Northwestern winless on American soil.
Tisk.
Maryland's running back rips off a 75-yard touchdown. That dude's awesome. But
MB is
we're gonna talk about Jahari Branch. Like I was watching that game was a second screen for me. I saw the touchdown, like, okay, cool. This game is kind of over. It's like unsportsmanlike conduct. For what? Because I had the game on mute. And I look over and then they just cut to it's like the camera that's underneath, that's attached to the underneath of the crossbar of the goalpost.
That never gets used.
It never gets used until this moment. And I kept trying to find on Twitter, and I finally found it. Jahari Branch, man, 330 pounds of pure athleticism, does a cart, and the audacity too. He does a cartwheel like right in front of the officials too, and then they flag him because yes, I guess technically in the rules it's a penalty. But and I said, and if I was a coach, I would be like, man, I'm fine with that. That's the most impressive thing I've seen like in all of sports, man. Like Olympics, I've watched every kind of sport. Olympics, I've seen some cricket highlights, hockey, man. That's the most impressive thing. That was just awesome. And then opening kickoff, South Carolina, Texas A&M. Some fans are still filling up their seats. Place is going loud. Xavier Legette takes it from about a yard deep. He gets hit at around his own 30. He's bouncing off of tackles, and he keeps running. And then at his own 49-yard line, my man puts up his hand like, I'm going to score at his own 49-yard line. Then you can kind of see it on his reactions like, oh, wait a second, because he starts to slow down. Because I think when he's getting hit, I think he thought that he had gotten more yards than he had, but he only gained 5 yards because he starts to slow down at his own 49. He puts his hand up like, let's go. He's like, oh snap, I still need to run. Then he just starts sprinting again, and then he scores. It's like, man, that could have been an embarrassing moment if he had gotten caught, fumbled, whatever. But my man throws up the hand. I'm scoring at his own 49-yard line, does it. South Carolina gets a big win. Those two celebrations.
He was a tank
so
running too.
Dude,
like we talked about the behemoth at Maryland. The tank on South Carolina's turf there for Mr. Leggett was crazy, running full steam ahead like he was Thomas the Train or something.
Man, I haven't seen someone celebrate like that since like Tyreek Hill threw up the peace sign at the Bills' 45-yard line when he ran in like the AFC divisional round last year. But that's Tyreek Hill. Yeah, he could do that. Leggett just doing his own 49, the most audacious thing. The worst thing, Iowa's defense after dealing with that offense. Not Ohio State's offense. No. They actually, I know Ohio State put up 54, but like it was kind of a harder. No, it's Iowa's offense that they have to deal with. And you could see, like, they were holding Ohio State down pretty well. Ohio State was just getting short drives and whatever. And then finally, it's like the third quarter. Ohio State had like a 3-play drive, and I think it was like a 75-yard touchdown. And you could just see like Iowa's defense is just like, okay, just we've tried our best, man, but nah, we're done. And you could literally see just their souls leaving their bodies. Like, man, we're gonna be out here. We're still gonna compete, but no, we're done today, man. We're just here to cash our It's not even checks because they don't get paid, but we're just here to
cash our corn.
Cash their corn, man. We're trying. It's like this Iowa defense is so much fun to watch because they are a pain for everybody. And occasionally when they get like NFL dudes, they put up like they remember when they beat Ohio State by 1 billion like in 2018, something like that. It's because their defense was good, but they had an offense. There was some offense there. Man, that was the worst thing to see, man. That made me sad, legitimately sad.
Their defense is full of studs, but this goes straight into one of my worst things too, because I did cheat. I did say too, Iowa fans all season have been begging to bench Petrus. They got their wish. Padilla came in and turned the ball over on his first 2 plays. All that talk from Iowa fans. It was first 2 or 3 plays. I believe it was 2, though. I could be tripping. I believe it was 2. If it was 3, I'm sorry. Numbers are tough. But all season, Iowa fans have been begging to see anybody else at quarterback. That anybody else came in and failed immediately. Look, Petrus and Padilla are bad. Brian Ferentz, he's so unbelievably inept at his job and should join us at the transfer portal CFB to talk football, maybe, if he's even qualified enough.
No.
Okay, he's not, but no. The point still stands. Like I thought it was hilarious that's Iowa fans got their wish, and that's immediately what happened. Let's just throw some more trash on Iowa. Oh, the Tory Taylor, like punter of the year, blah 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 blah. Faked the punt on his own and got absolutely leveled. He went on his own when he should not have. That was such an ill-advised decision. And he failed. My other thing sorry.
I think he just said, you know what? I've been doing well. Defense is doing well. Offense, you know what? Someone's got to do something, man. Someone's got, and it's one of those. It's like, man, he messed around and found out. It's like, oh man, okay, that's why I'm a punter.
No he was auditioning for Wildcat quarterback. He failed.
We love you, man. You're a good punter, man. Defense, you're great. Just carry on, Liam, before I just cry about this offense.
My other worst thing is Georgia Tech's final play of the game against Virginia. Zach Gibson. Look, credit to Mr. Gibson, the Akron transfer, for knowing himself. And we'll get into that in a second. But final play of the game, and we're on Hail Mary. Instead of giving our receivers a chance, we're walking out of bounds. And number 82 on Virginia also had the worst defensive effort I've ever seen. That guy needed to get like on the ventilator or something, because that guy was gassed. Like if you go back and watch that play, 82, I believe is the number. Again, numbers are tough. Was like crawling out there. He could not run at all. But Gibson says after he runs out of bounds, and not like directly, obviously, but after the game, he's asked why he doesn't throw it. Because I know I can't throw the ball like 70 to 80 yards. I know me. I can't throw the ball that far, and nobody was open. And yeah, I know that I probably should have thrown the ball and given someone the play, but in the moment, it was just like, I can't throw the ball that far, and nobody's open. And, well, I could just walk out of bounds right here and end up my misery. So why not do that? One of the all-time bad endings to a game. Joe Milton did it.
That was at least Milton got positive yardage, man. At least Milton got yardage.
He ends up with a negative in his stats for that. That's tough.
I again, I didn't watch the Georgia Tech Virginia game because it was kind of sloppy. But then I saw that I'm like, okay, what's happening on this final play? Because I saw it from a Sickos committee, and then I'm like, oh no. And then I showed it to my dad, and my dad is not an emotional man. Like the most emotional he ever got was like Jenkins hitting the buzzer beater against North Carolina. But even then, was just like a quick little that was it. My dad saw that and just burst into my dad just shook his head, just laughed. And it's like, man, when you make my dad do that, oh man, that was special.
Because it's the same for me too. Like, it takes something truly out of the ordinary for me to like react to it, like, and actually be vocal about it. I was like, but like, why? If you know that your quarterback can't throw it 70 to 80 yards or whatever he said, can we not just do a little pitchy woo-woo, especially in the ACC where we've seen it happen? I'm looking at the lateral play out in Miami Duke and everything, but at least make that, like, give that a shot. Something crazy could happen there. I don't know. Like, what an awful way to end it. The best thing, there's only one best thing from week 8, and it is talk to me dirty, corn dog. There is nothing better than that clip of commentary that we were blessed with during the A&M South Carolina game. Wow. Talk to me dirty, corn dog. Are we on? Proceeds to just call the game like nothing happened. And then a few quarters later, that entire commentary crew is just eating food like they are, in a Nathan's hot dog eating contest. They were all Joey Chestnut.
They're housing food.
Kubalik was not eating. He was inhaling that thing. I don't know if he took a bite of his donut hamburger. He inhaled the entire thing, like Patrick Starr on the hamburger gif, where it, like, I don't know. Jordan Rogers finally got that corn dog he was eyeing, and was that his first love? Like, he was romantic with the corn dog. I know we're all not gonna overlook that and act like that wasn't. He was romantic with the corn dog.
Hey man, like, I love corn dogs. They're one of like my favorite food at like the fair and everything. But even then, it's like, man, what on earth? What is happening?
And he fed Hart a turkey leg. We overlooked that. He fed him a turkey leg, and Hart just took a giant chomp out of it like he was a dog or something.
Someone go find the full game. And I know, because it'll be fun, please like clip out all those moments and post that as a highlight reel of just all the food stuff that happened.
Okay, we should do that. We should do that and put it up as a YouTube video for sure.
You're right, Lee. Like, man, shout out. See, this is why I college football, man. We can talk about all this on-field stuff and everything, but at the end of the day, man, it's just the whole thing, man.
Just talk to me dirty, corn dog. It's just
exactly, man. I'm never gonna look at corn dogs the same way again.
No, that's the stuff that helps make college football great, is that we get weird moments like that, and there are so many quality commentating crews that could make moments like this even better than they should be. And this was one of those teams. And again, another great thing, any game RG3 calls. Hey, and Mark Jones are of like elite. RG3, his keys to the game, always finds something creative. For this one, for Cincy SMU, he decided to say, give me 50 feet. just RG3 being RG3. I don't know, but
Yeah.
RG3 is really good. This whole commentating thing too. Another just college football is great, and it's not just because of the on-field product. It's because we could go back to McDonough saying Sean Tucker just got out of witness protection program.
That was wild, man.
It's like it's McDonough's delivery. They just when he makes a snarky comment like that, he delivers at the highest level. He knows exactly the monotone voice and everything. Act like it's not a big deal, but he knows everyone's going to go crazy on Twitter with it. Remember a few weeks ago during Clemson Wake Forest, they talk about Aaron Judge and say, "Oh, Aaron Judge just struck out. We haven't shown on broadcast." And McDonough's just like, "What a shame. What a shame." He's the best.
College football's the best.
College football's the best. We thank y'all for listening to this. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Josh and I we're out of here. I'm sorry. We can't talk about week 8 for 12 more hours. We got to prepare for week 9. We got to prepare for the Maxson too. It's coming up so soon. Can't wait.